You
Uh,
done.
before we even start, I always ask people before I get on their podcast, are we cussing? I can code switch. That's what I'm asking.
If you can help it, the only words, because I watched your videos, I did a little research.
For sure.
Just like dick. That's the only word.
Nah.
Talk
You
about your
are
bougie penis.
you are
That's
perfectly fine. I have came onto podcasts and I have literally like not said a word of cussing. It just depends on the what you
I
want.
don't mind some of it. Yeah, I don't mind because I cuss too.
All right, cool.
Ooh, let me kick this air on because I'm not gonna survive it. I was trying to thug it out, but it is what it is. Okie dokie.
All right.
So initially, when you're like you wanted to like talk or whatever on the podcast, what were your thoughts? Like, what made you decide to do
That
it?
was a year ago, right?
That was I went MIA, so yeah.
The mindset of what I was having at that time. So yeah, I was super like um shoot depressed. And I saw a platform where you seemed so positive. So I was like, this could be my opportunity not to gain followers, clout, whatever the case may be. It was to gain someone's enthusiasm and gain someone's
Mhm.
positivity. A year now coming to today, um, things are I'm in a lot different mind space. It's been a lot better in my life. Um, but that was the first initial like reasoning on why I wanted to come on your platform.
You know what's crazy and ironic? So I went missing, but I didn't really tell a lot of people why. Is because I was depressed. So
Hmm.
I had went through like a major life shift, and it wasn't my first time dealing with it, but it was one of the heavier times most recently. But it's crazy because even you telling me that now, it's like confirmation that I can't stop. Like I can't
Yeah,
do that
yeah,
again because
yeah,
that's the whole thing I've been getting is like there are people who need what you have. Like,
yeah,
and you gotta believe in your gifts and you gotta trust it. Even you know how it is starting content. It's like you see people watching, you already know where I'm going with it. But
yeah,
it's like you can't focus on that. You got I'm
yeah.
here to do what I came to do. And it's gonna touch who it touches, whether they acknowledge it or not.
Right.
And as long as I know that I'm producing, and it's fun, like
Yes.
it's challenging, it's engaging. So yeah, but wow. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy for us. We
Yeah. No.
survived.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love
God.
that.
God works in magical ways.
Literally, like happy spring. That's what I've been telling
Yeah.
everybody because the winter was long.
It was.
But so um let me see. What are your main focuses now? So I saw your podcast started like what 3 weeks ago.
Hmm.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. My main goals now are understanding that these 1 minute, 2 minute videos are not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a very, very unique skit person. I'm comfortable in my skin to do a lot of things. And now what I'm starting to do is expressing. So a lot of people don't know, and I say this all the time. When it comes to my skits, all my skits have past trauma or past experiences. So a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily off the top of my head of creativity. What I've done is use a lot of the pain that I've came through into a humor aspect. The person that I've looked up to in a sense of that is Kevin Hart's Laugh at My Pain because he has literally made every single joke about all the altercations or all the allegations about himself, right? So he
Hmm.
is able to turn that into a comedy skit. And I've realized now that there's a lot of things that I post about that people go through on a daily basis, but they don't express it, right? So now where I'm at is I want to start making mini movies. I want to start making series. I want to start um, really diving into more of the YouTube aspect, streaming, and obviously the podcasting. I just want to get my name out there as much as I can because I
Hmm.
truthfully mean what I'm gonna say. There are times when I post certain skits or post certain videos and I know I can compete with the people that are at the top, if not better at times. So it's
For
just about
sure.
being consistent enough to be able to show my talents later on in the future.
So what kind of is it going to still be like comedy based
Yeah.
and based in your experiences? It's just going to be longer form, like scripted.
Yeah, like I have a whole idea, and I had to finish school out for this semester, but I have a whole idea when it comes to a reality TV show, right? Um, I, I definitely there's some reality TV shows that I don't like, but there, what's the show called? Man, shoot, uh,
What's the genre?
it's when couples come into the show and then they switch.
Love is Blind.
No, not Love Is
Oh
Blind.
no, no, no.
Um,
Hmm.
It's on Netflix. It's you. So like, if you and I are a couple, we'll come on the show, and then we'll switch partners. Shoot.
Oh
But
shoot.
either
That
way,
sounds good though. I
it's
never
it's
seen it.
good. And I've thought about doing a whole entire series with all my characters in that aspect. Um, it's just a lot of work. That's going to take about a month of recording, and I
Hmm.
just haven't had the time yet. But I'm starting to now realize that I'm not the best when it comes to short jokes. So people that make under 30-second skits or videos, I'm not that type of person. My humor takes longer to develop.
Hmm.
But other people, they can make those quick things. I'm realizing that I'm more of a 3 to 5 minute type of guy, and that's what I want to start getting into more.
So what? I guess what year did you decide to get into content, and what kind of sparked that for you?
I was about 8 years old when I made my first skit. Um, my my imagination has been very unique. I didn't stop playing with action figures and stuff like that until I was about 13, 14. And I was able to like just create this entire just fake reality world and go from there. And then like action figures started to get a little bit boring, and then I started doing sports and dance and all this other stuff. But my creativity was still there. I just didn't know how to really express it. And I was always like I, I tell people I'm not a comedian. Like I'm not a person that can just crack a joke and then you'll laugh. My humor is just natural, where I can just talk to you, and I'm just
Yes.
very like I'm very very energetic, and I'm very like I love people. I love being around people. I love making people like feel comfortable, and sometimes I love making people feel uncomfortable more than I like making them feel comfortable. Right?
I've gotten into that little kink lately because
It's
it's like expose yourself because I'm
yeah
just gonna look at you like
yeah
I remember reading something online or no, some on TikTok, I don't know, somewhere, and they were like, now when people start talking to me sideways or just coming at me crazy, I just ask them like, are you okay?
yeah.
Like
Yeah. I truthfully like asking people questions that are gonna put them in such a weird spot and seeing their expression. It's funny.
mhm.
I'm a people watcher, so
Yes,
I
me too.
enjoy watching people like just like get uncomfortable. It's funny to me, So
It is funny.
um I I've been doing that since I was 8, and what happened was I had a point in my life. It was in 2020. COVID started and everything like that, and I was in a really dark place, and I needed to find what made me happy. And finally, it was finding out that I should have been doing content all my life. Um,
Hmm.
there has been some bumps in the roads getting there. I dated someone, and I didn't want to get a lot of exposure because I didn't know how that was going to make them feel. Looking back at it, I wish I did it.
Whoa, look, we gonna have to spin a block on that topic,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna let you continue.
I wish I obviously stayed stuck with it, but I didn't, and now I'm starting to catch up with all the I should have been doing it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
What have been like your biggest challenges when it comes to like self work? So for me with content, I have been a very private person. Like the people who know me, they see the goofiest, craziest sides of me, right? But I didn't feel safe. If I don't feel safe or don't feel comfortable with people, they don't see all of that.
yeah,
So, coming from a social media standpoint, like we all see how celebrities are treated. You know what I'm saying? So, I had to first learn real confidence and then trust in the stuff that I speak on, but also stop caring.
yeah,
That's why, like this time around, it just feels so different because
yeah,
I'm coming from it, like from an approach that is the message what it needs to be. No
Yeah,
matter how I come off, no matter like this dude DM me, and I was so taken aback. This was back when I deleted my IG last summer, at like 5,000 something followers, and people like, you are crazy. I'm like, you will get them back, and hopefully
yeah,
the ones that come back this time they resonate more with who I am now.
right.
Because back then it was honestly just a bunch of guys that were just perverted, and
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm not even posting like IG baddie. I'm not an IG baddie. Like I don't know where they came from, but there was this one video that went viral, and all I was saying was, if guys are looking to date, they need to learn the difference between a girl and a woman, and it
yeah.
has very little to do with age. So people start going in, like some people, some guys are like, okay, well then explain it. I'm like, no, I say you need to figure out the
Yeah.
difference. And then this one dude, he commented, he was like, he said, don't take advice from the girl with the white girl wig. I was like, oh, what did I do to you? And then people were just like, okay, R. Kelly. Like people were going. So it wasn't really that, but it was just like that kind of stuff. Like people just be OD. So just that was my biggest challenge, was like being okay with being vulnerable, being okay with being misjudged and misunderstood. Cause
Yeah.
that used to be a big trigger for me. So now that I feel like I've gotten over that, it's just like you create from such a more free space, which is the whole point. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what would be like your challenges or what you've worked through already?
I hated myself for years. I I kept this image that here, let me put this on do not disturb real quick. I I was lying to myself for years. From the start of high school, I didn't know what homecoming court was, and I got voted for it. And when I saw the amount of people that enjoyed being around me, I chased it. I was only going to make sure everyone else was happy with who I was,
Hmm.
and I never really enjoyed who I was. Right, I was the class clown that always talked to everybody, and once I hit a point realizing that I went to college and I finally was away from people and I didn't have to speak to everyone, I realized how much I never really worked on myself. I never really cared to work on myself because I was always trying to make everyone else happy. Uh,
Exactly.
so then when I got back into content and I started recording and I would get 15, 20 views, I was like, not only do I hate myself, but I just feel like unsuccessful. Right. So it was just this ever wrapping of like just depression. And then I dated a girl in high school for pretty much the entire time, and then we broke up when I went to college, and then I went back to her, and it wasn't healthy because I never learned to love myself. So I literally just realized how much it just was painful. TikTok finally gave my first like glimpse of like, oh my god, like I can do something. But the times where TikTok confused me, where they gave me views and they gave me a lot of them, and then they took them all away, and I wouldn't get
Yeah.
a single view after that. I finally came to realization of like the high of feeling like I'm on top of the world, and then taking that all away. And that was when I that was the kind of like my calling of realizing I'm not healthy, you know. And so I had to go through
Well,
all
you say you're not what?
healthy. I'm just not.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not healthy at all. Like I don't know what self love is. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a thing. So I had to go to a lot of therapy. Started going to church. Started really just I cut off a lot of people for 3 months straight, and I didn't talk to no one besides myself. And then I came back, and I had to realize that no one's perfect. I kept on trying to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Um, I got to a world in a space where I was like, I don't really care what no one says about me anymore. You know, my comment section can be, shoot. There are women that say I hate women. There's men that I say I hate men. I
Hmm.
don't respect men. There's women that say I don't respect women, and I'm just like, I've realized that I can't make everyone happy, and that's okay. You know, uh,
Exactly.
and it took some
That's the
time.
fact.
It took time.
That's
Yeah.
that's beautiful. No, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're good. You're good.
Oh, that's the whole thing. I was just telling someone this, I feel like yesterday or the day before, exactly what you said. And I'm like, And first of all, most people, they're just looking to be critical in
Yes.
the first place because most people aren't happy because they deal with what we dealt with, but they're not brave enough to face it. Like you going to therapy, it's like
Yeah.
top tier. What was the biggest thing you realized if you feel comfortable sharing it? Was it something that you've already mentioned? And
If
then if so, how did you overcome it as far as like what you were working through in therapy?
Shoot, the number one thing that I never realized I suffered with my parents, they separated, and I always felt like I ruined my parents' life. My parents are 42.
Mhm.
I'm 22, so they had me at 20, right? And my dad never finished college, and my mother never finished college, and I always felt this way where I I simply ruined what my parents could have been or what they should have been, something like that. And then at the
Mm.
same time, when it came to the relationship aspect and the relationship world of myself, I never could find a girl that accepted. I make a joke now when it sim talks, right? I make a joke about it, but I
Yes.
don't care anymore, right? But at the time, I was like a person who just I wanted to always make a woman happy, and they would play the hell out of me, and I had to literally go through therapy of figuring out what started all of this pain. And it started out with my parents and then it moved on to from there. But um yeah, it was a process I really had to get through because I don't I can't explain depression. I can't. I can just tell you it's dark. It's just dark.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
all I can say about
It's literally like I described it, and it's not a video I released yet. I don't think it's within the next two or three. But this new series that I started called A New Leaf, it's basically the result of my depression and God telling me, like my spirit team and all that, like you have to get people out of where you were because there are people who can't afford therapy. There are people who are afraid of therapy. Not saying that I'm a mental health professional. Do not try to sue me. Disclaimer. Okay. However, first person experience is the best experience.
it.
So, especially when you make it through some stuff, like like becoming a pro athlete or doing anything successfully, you can teach it. And healing is no different. Even though it looks a little different, it takes longer or shorter times for other people. I feel like if you survive depression, like a major depressive episode to the point where you don't want to get out of bed when the sun comes up, it pisses you off and makes you
Yeah.
sad. Like you just want it literally all to be over. If you can come out of that, you have every right to teach that if you feel called to do that. So I had to come to terms with that myself, but that's what it's designed for. So it's like 7 episodes, walking them through, like, okay, how do we get here? How do we make sense of this? How do we anchor in this when it's still turbulent? Like basic wellness practices and things like that, which we'll get into your wellness routine in a
Yeah.
second. But yeah, it's like, I don't know.
I was in
And
the I was in the ICU for 3 days.
really?
Sure was.
Oh my God. I used to be an ICU nurse, so I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, I was in the
That's
ICU.
tough. Yeah. I've come
Yeah.
like within days. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And it's literally nothing but sores because there's no reason. So I've never told this story publicly, but not this past winter when I was going through it, but it was like 1.5 years prior. um I was the woman with the plan, like I was finito, you know what I'm saying? And I was watching a reading, like a channel message from this lady, and she's like all the way in Canada, but
Mhm.
I had been watching her for like years, and she looked dead into the camera, and I'm a person who believes like we come from other realms and
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. So she looks into the camera and she's just like, so there's someone who's watching this, and you do not come from Earth, and you're having a hard time, and you hate it here, and you want to leave, and you're thinking about exiting.
Mhm.
And she dead ass looked and was like, now is not the time. And I was like, she said, now is not the time. I was like, so what we gonna do then? Cause I'm not like, I'm so tired. So at that point, I'm from Kansas City. I'm here now, but I was like, either I'm going to like live and leave, like I have to leave this city, or it's not gonna be good.
Right.
So that led me down a whole other cascade of events. But yeah, basically that's what birthed this new series. So with that, what birthed Sim Talks? Like I kind of get the gist of it, but I want you to explain it from your perspective and like where it came from.
So like I walk around with this every single day, right? It's called the SIM card. This is my debit card though, right? The intro to Sim Talks is no, I will never get on my knees and kiss woman's feet, but goddamn it, I'll suck her toes, right? And um, instead of me avoiding or trying to neglect or trying to become this different human, and what I mean by different human is, there's the right now the relationship phase in this generation is not the strongest, and I've always been a relationship guy. I can't
Mhm.
I've tried to get in the whole mindset. I've tried to be in the streets. I've tried, and it never goes well for me because it's just not who I am. So I've
Yeah.
accepted that this word simps. I'm trying to trademark it now. Where simp is simp is where you the definition urban dictionary definition is a man that allows a woman to walk over him. Right now, I believe that is the case, but I do believe that you can look at simps in a different way, right? I believe that you could just be very simple. You could be very simple minded. You can be a sweetheart. You can be someone that really cares about emotions. I'm a very emotional man. Like, I really enjoy emotions. I really
That's
embrace the
so
fact
beautiful.
that it is. It really is. Because my dad's side of the family, they don't do that. My mother is the one that brings the emotion, right?
Mm.
So I just finally accepted that the fact that this is who I am, and I can make a joke about it because if you make a joke about something that people make jokes about, they can't make a joke on you anymore. At that point,
That
like, you just can't because I'm already accepting I am the joke, but I'm doing it to promote myself in a way where it's okay to show emotions and it's okay to show women that you like them. Like, and you don't have to be
mhm.
hard
Yes.
dressed. You don't have to be like this guy that doesn't know how to speak. Um, so I just show, but what I do with Sim Talks is show a funny, humorous side of how I've tried to be different and it failed. And it's okay.
Yes.
I'm showing that I've had opportunities to be. Hear me?
Uh-oh, hold on, it muted. I think you're back.
Oh,
Say something.
something. Can you hear me?
Back.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Um, I am showing that I can be this outgoing soul, and I've had a rough. Last year was a pretty rough time when it came.
Uh-oh. Hold on, you went like dark. What happened?
Oh, hold on. Oh, okay. Muted. Am I good?
You're not muted, but now it's a black screen.
It's a black screen now.
Yeah. I've never used YouTube Live, so this is
I'm
new
gonna
for
I'm
me.
gonna join right back. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Here. We're good now. All right. Cool.
Mhm.
Sorry about that. I've never
You're
used
good.
it either. Yeah. um,
It's like,
but yeah, no, I'm using Sim Talks as much as I can to show that it's okay. I'm a man that can do like emotional, feminine type of things, and I'm perfectly fine in this world.
I love it. So I what's crazy is initially like a year ago when you had commented or whatever, so usually I'll look and be like, okay, who is this person, blah blah blah. Like, I looked at your content a little bit and I'm like, oh, he's funny, like I'm all for that.
Mhm.
But I didn't go deeper, and the podcast of course wasn't even out, so that was all I had to go off of in my gut, and I'm a firm believer in trusting your gut. Like, that makes me think of the last episode I just watched of yours, the story of the girl in the hotel, and she was a mess. I'm like, oh my god. So y'all tune in to
It's
tune in, because it's a ride. Like,
and you can tell by the way I'm literally like telling you step by step that I'm not lying in any of this.
no, you can tell that it's real life. Like, you're not coming. Nobody can make this shit up. Literally, like, you broke a nail, so a nail. So you want me to me, and I just met you.
Crazy.
I was low key fuming for you. And then what hit me though, as a woman who I very much so, my history, I've been single for 18, 19, 20, almost 7 years. I was about to say six, so it'll be 7 years in July. In the first 2 years, it was intentional because I just was so, I needed to heal. And I'm the type of person, either I'm all the way in or I'm all the way out, but I'm not going to half-ass a relationship because that's not fair to me or nobody else. So then after that, I got back into the dating pool, didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I just stopped taking people serious in a sense. Like people want to fly me out, which is a whole other topic. And I was just telling this guy this the other day. I didn't know that when somebody flies you out, you supposed to drop them. Like
Oh, immediately. Correct.
I did not know that. So
Yeah.
I have this whole story. There's an Arizona vlog on my channel, but I didn't never tell the backstory. And one day I may do a story time, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was very naive because I'm the type of person that you got to say it with your chest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to assume anything. I learned that lesson. So I say all that to say, like, in relationships in the past, I feel like I've given more than I've received, but that was what I accepted, blah, blah, blah. But it's baffling to me when guys tell these types of stories about women. It's almost unbelievable, but it's not because I know human nature.
Yeah.
But it's like there are really women out, girls, because that's not woman behavior, but there are really girls out here that are doing these things. Like that is crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy, but I mean, that's the reality, but I love that you're not afraid to speak on how different you approach even sex. Like,
yeah.
that's one thing that resonated with me so deeply because looking at you, like, you're handsome. Like,
Yeah.
and people attach that with, oh, he's like a loose,
Yeah.
and you're like, you said, I'm not a whore, I'm not a slut. So I
Yeah.
was like,
I tell women I have bougie dick, and I really mean that because the thing is, I, I this is how I really describe it. It's not an unfortunate circumstance. It's just it happened. My first ever time having sex, losing my virginity, was with the person I was with for 5 years. So with knowing the difference between sex and intimacy, it's hard for me just to have fun because
yeah,
we were intimate. We were that was so when a girl comes around and they're ready to go immediately, it actually intimidates me because I'm like, why are you so ready to go?
yeah,
Out of respect for the woman on the podcast, I didn't express her interest in having sex a lot. Because even though I'm not in the same mind space of even wanting to look or talk to her, I still respect all the people that have came in my life. But she was very like, let's do it. And I was like, no, right? Because the thing is, when I was in a relationship, we took a year until we even did anything. And then when it comes to these women now, that's not all women. It's just the women that I chose. Like, and that's why I've told my people like I have to be the problem because I keep. It's not about those women being the problem. I have to be the problem. I have to look at myself and realize I'm choosing the problems. So I have to figure out what the problems are. A lot of people don't understand that. When I tell them, they're like, no, like I keep on choosing bad men. I keep choosing bad women. I'm like, well, you got to realize you're the problem. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's not that you are the problem, but you keep choosing them. So you have to realize what tendencies are you picking. Um, and a lot of people just hear like I'm saying you're the problem. I keep choosing women that are just bad. They're just bad. Like I gotta figure out what I'm doing wrong, but I keep doing it, and I I'm learning tendencies, and that's why I kind of just say to myself now, like I'm really really like I'm in this house every single day. But I just made a video about the story of like the first ever link up because like you just said you got flown out and he expected something immediately and
yeah.
even though, even though that's not my if a girl were to came to me she would expect like if she's coming to my house she kind of expects the same type of thing and I'm like whoa what do you mean like so it is like a different but you just have morals for yourself you have respect for yourself and that's what a lot of people lack nowadays.
I mean, yeah, and I say all that to say I have definitely not been an angel when it comes to exploring my
Yeah.
sensual nature and like relationships and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like I understand that sex is a ritual.
Yeah.
And the more spiritual I've gotten, it's like I've been celibate for a year now because that's something you cannot play. Even especially as a woman, I've talked about this in an IG live like a year ago, like that's your intuition center, that's your womb, and all the women that he's been with and all the energy that is in his phallus, like that's going inside and festering in you. And
Yeah.
if you don't know how to cleanse and purge that, it will start causing havoc in your life. Like you look up and you be like, why is my life falling apart? Like,
Yeah.
why am I starting to look different? Why am I gaining weight? Why am I like, that's not you. That's all that trauma that he put
Yeah.
inside of you. And you just have not a clue.
Yep.
And so that's the thing. It's like having discernment. That's like the name of the game. Once you get past like your mid 20s, hopefully, you start to kind of see what are the patterns in my life and how do I break these patterns, and knowing that it starts with me. So one thing I realized when I had my third boyfriend and I was like, okay, this is not working. And one of them I dated twice. Like he asked me, he sent me on like this cute little scavenger hunt around our city. This was, shoot, I don't know, years ago.
Yeah.
And then he like dumped me 2 days later, which was the only time I ever been dumped because he's like, oh, you're crazy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, bye.
Right.
And then he asked me out again. And so we dated again, which was a problem. But like, you start to realize they're the same type of person and those same patterns showed up before you even made the commitment.
Yeah.
So I had to start from a perspective of I come from a single parent household. My mother raised us. My dad was in and out. So I never learned what a strong male role model looked like, what that
Yeah.
relationship looked like,
Yeah.
how a feminine woman conducts herself.
Right.
So these are all things that I'm learning now. But what I did, I started to study married men
Right.
because I'm like, how do they think? And how did they think in their singleness? And what was it about their wives that made them, after all of their whole phases and all of that, say, this is her? Like,
Right.
regardless of whatever, even if she ain't got the best body or she's not the prettiest and, she got some things going on, but she's worth it and I'm going to invest in her. Like, what were those things? So once I started to study that, I learned that men, like, y'all are hunters. Y'all don't like you said, I don't want to just have it. I want to like earn it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And it's just different. It's like working a long day, then coming home and putting your feet up. It's gonna feel better than when you just been laying in bed
Of
since
course.
this morning.
Of
You know
course.
what I'm saying? So that's one thing. And so I've had to learn to show restraint, not just when it comes to being like sexually intimate, which is something that it wasn't necessarily easy, but I'm a very physical person. And that used to override my like know better. And I used to just be like, oh, F it. Like, and it's like, no, not F it. Like, definitely don't. But having when those red flags start to go off, no matter how much potential or how much of a lover girl or lover boy you are and what you see in them, you gotta trust you
Yeah.
gotta trust your gut, because every single time if you don't do it, you're gonna pay for it.
Yep.
And you cannot go for potential. Those are like the two biggest things I've learned, and it saved me a headache. And
Yeah.
a lot of people get offended and men try to tell me like, oh well, you just like you're not patient or you just leave too fast. It's a difference in the type of leeway or grace I'm gonna give a guy I'm talking to versus my fiance or my
Yeah.
husband. Like, I wouldn't leave my husband for what I would leave my boyfriend for. Like,
Sure.
it's just different levels and different levels of commitment. And people need to understand that, like, on day one, you don't get the whole cake. And that's another thing for women and men who are even watching. It's a lot of women, like, we're not taught to see when like men are free sexually. We're not taught to see that it's like a red flag, but
Yeah.
it actually is, because it shows poor discernment and like
Yeah.
poor lack of care for self. Truly, it goes both ways. And it's crazy because women talk about it from the other perspective of, oh, it's a double standard. But it's like, even we allow that double standard because we don't look at them through those same eyes they see us through.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, but yeah, those would be the biggest things I've learned as far as dating goes and approaching it differently. So I'm optimistic about like the next situation.
Yeah.
And also, like, when you wait for sex, you get to know who a person
You
is,
get to know them. You get
you
to
know?
really learn them and understand what they actually like. Um, like I said, I've had vast opportunities to do whatever the case may be, but um, I don't know. I just it's not who I am, and I've tried to put myself in situations to kind of force that out of me, but I just realized that it is what it is. I want to keep myself pretty cleansed and pretty um, clean and very pure for whoever comes next. A lot of women never believe me when I talk about my body count. They think automatically I'm a hoe, and
You're lying. Yeah.
yeah, like and I've accepted it. And the thing is, I can't convince you. I can just provide you like I'm posting 3 videos a day on TikTok. Like I don't have time, and I'm doing that Monday through Monday. So um, my friends tell me all the time I need to go out and I need to go talk to women and everything like that. I tell them, I mean, yeah, that'd be cool, but I want to be situated in life and know that the person that comes in my life, they know that not only they're getting a man that is mentally strong and very very close with his feminine energy, but also has his life situated as well. Yeah,
So what happens if she comes along the way and it's like the girl that she's not giving red flags? And so that scares you because, like you said, there are too many green flags. But here's the thing about that: if you exist, your counterpart exists.
for sure.
So eventually, if you hold that intention, you're gonna meet her. So, and I this is what I had to tell myself: like, you can't. I've gotten scared in situations where it was like it was a great guy, but it just didn't work because geographically at the time it just wasn't working. But I got scared because I was just like, oh, like something's gonna go wrong. And it did because you create these things. But so what if she comes along and there are like no red flags? What do you like delay the development of the relationship? Do you start it as a friendship? What does that look like for you?
Well, what I've learned in this past situation with that woman is, uh, what I've learned in my past relationship, in that past woman, and in my parents' relationship. I believe being friends really matters, and not friends as in like you're friend zoning each other. It's you're really learning them.
Mhm.
You know, um, you can be sexually attracted to them. You can find them very attractive in that dress, but I feel like when you start to, because I didn't really know that girl. Even though we talked for like 3 weeks, I didn't really know her. You know,
Mhm.
and I tried to go learn her, but that's why my intuition told me not to go. Um, but I truthfully enjoy my best friend being my lover. Like that was
Yes.
it's really fun. It's really fun because yeah, I find them very attractive, but I gossip with them. I tell them about stuff that they probably don't even care about, but I'm just so excited to tell them because they're my best friend. So
Oh,
that's what I'm focused on.
no.
That's that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to is finding my next best friend,
Yes.
and then going from there.
I agree. And then even with the friendship piece, it's like, yeah, you get to know them from an objective perspective and you're going to be tempted. But the whole thing is, as an adult, you know not to put yourself in certain situations when
Yeah,
you don't want certain things to happen. So don't be laid up in a room somewhere. Like, get your ass outside and go play. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? But also, once y'all develop a relationship and y'all are committed and then moving on to marriage, even when life gets hard, like say you have kids and you're going through all these different transitions, parents get sick, like all these stressors come in, y'all friendship is like that anchor, that
that's
foundation.
bullshit. Yeah,
And that's why people are like, well, marriage ain't what it used to be. I'm like, well, speak for yourself and who you decide to marry. But if you're racing to the altar because you're pregnant already or because you're turning 30 next year,
yeah,
but you already know that this is not the person for you, you have nobody but to blame for the divorce rate but yourself. Like, you can't deny that.
yeah,
And it takes patience, but that's the beauty of, like, I see my husband as an entrepreneur because
yeah,
you have to be a certain type of person.
yeah,
Like, first of all, you have to have patience, you have to be steadfast,
yeah,
and you have to have some type of self-assuredness
yeah,
and self-control.
yeah,
And those are all huge, beautiful qualities when it comes to forming a partnership.
yeah,
But so it's like once things hit the fan, like he's not gonna go run or she's not gonna go run and tell our business, like we're gonna come and talk about this and handle this. And it's gonna be love and friendship. And even when I don't like you, I'm still gonna love you because
yeah,
I respect you and I understand you.
yeah,
So I think that's something that most people don't, they take for granted and then they don't understand that it's an investment. Your relationship is one of the hugest investments you'll make in your life. And if it's a bad one, you will surely pay for it.
yeah,
So it's worth the time to court the person, to vet the person, to give them space and see how they develop within their own right without you trying to put your dreams and aspirations and your outlook for y'all life together on them.
yeah,
That was my like issue as a whole visionary. And it's like, just relax. Like if it's gonna be, it's supposed to be, it's gonna be. But also, I would say what would you say your wellness routine is? Like, how do you take care of your fitness, your health, your mental wellness, your spiritual practice? Like, what how would you explain that?
So for a while, Skips was the only thing that was getting me going. And then I went through a pretty hard time. It was almost a year ago. Um, I was working out every day. That was my place to finally just escape from skits and the world lifting. And I tore my ACL a year ago, and I still haven't got surgery yet. So now that I'm kind of just sit in this room and I just go to class, I just make skits. My way of like kind of getting through things. I'm an My grandfather's like my biggest inspiration. I'm an old soul, so I'll just sit outside, cold, rain, sleet, hot, um, and I will genuinely just sit outside at water and just listen to music. And that is my way of just escaping for a little bit. Video games is obviously natural, but that is my way of just like realizing that the days that my videos don't get as many views, it's okay. Um, the days where my grades aren't looking the best, it's okay. When the money in my account looks a little bit low, it's okay. Um,
Okay.
and it took a while because I always felt like if everything wasn't perfect, that I will definitely say this. My ex's mother put a lot of pressure on me, and it scared me. Um, she wanted me to be this. She had a certain look for who I was supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
and already dealing with what I was going through at home, and then coming and seeing her, and then she. It's not like I was a bad person. I was very respectful, but she just had a certain look, and feeling like I wasn't accepted at home, and then not feeling accepted there, it really put a really strong taste in my mouth. And I was from there, I just felt like I had to be perfect. I had to do everything perfectly. I had to have the perfect amount of money, the perfect amount of house, the perfect car. And it really put me in a spot where I realized I wasn't perfect. And it's okay not to be perfect. But I, I had to really address myself and figure out things that are going to. What I tell people is a lot of people have like destructive distractions. You should have a healthy distraction. Destructive distractions:
Yes.
partying, drinking, smoking, sex. Healthy distractions is what is going to help you. You know, and it took me a while to realize what the difference between a distraction or what a healthy distraction and a destructive distraction. And the one analogy that I've been using, and I've thought about this 2 years ago, is I'm accustomed to darkness. We as humans are so accustomed to light, the sun and the moon. No matter if we go outside, there's always going to be the sun, there's always going to be the moon. So there's always going to be light. We're always used to it. But the times where you get put in a room and there's no light whatsoever, what are you going to do about it? And the people that are accustomed to darkness are the most powerful people to me because we have found a way to light. And if we ever get put in that darkness again, we'll know how to get out of it. It's compared
That's a
to people
fact.
that are just always in light, when they get put in darkness, they panic, and I'm very appreciative, not happy about it, but I'm appreciative of going through a lot of dark times because I know when it's dark, I know how to get myself out of it.
Yes. And every time you go in it, like I always give the plant analogy, like there's so much nutrients in it. And I tell people like depression can feel suffering and suffocate like it's a suffering and it can feel like a suffocation, like it's literally sucking your life force because that's what it's doing.
Yeah,
But if you discover the root of it, like there's so much wisdom, strength, and nutrients in that. So yeah, like that's something that I can never hide. Is I don't I'm a very well, I used to be a very prideful person. So letting my mom and my family members see me so low like last year, that was it was a very humbling experience, which I needed a lesson in humility. Not that I was like egotistical or inconsiderate, but I feel like especially if you're gonna climb to very high heights, you have to have humility because
yeah,
that ego will consume and destroy you.
yeah,
So that served a purpose for sure, but I love that. And then also with the piece that you spoke about the girl's mom and that feeling of non-acceptance, right? Even if let's say you meet a girl and that's the girl and your in-laws are that same way. Now you know, like, I'm not the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as she's okay with it and she
Yeah.
can deal with it, that's our business and that's our world. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I want to put that out there. Just I'm just getting a moment to say that for the people who may be meeting their partners, but not everybody approves of them. They don't know them like you know them.
Yeah.
So don't stunt what people got to say, because at the end of the day, when you lose your partner who was made for you because of what other people have to say, you're going to be in so much agony. And guess who's not going to be there to hold your hand and wipe your tears? The person that cared about you and was going to do anything to make you happy, but you sacrificed them in that relationship with them because you don't have the approval of people who
Yep.
truly, if they loved you, all they would care about is, does he or she make you happy?
Right.
That's how you really know if somebody is for you, and not if they're trying to control and manipulate your behaviors or the way you live your life.
Yeah.
So I love that for you. And then I'll wrap it up because I won't hold you. What are you looking forward to this year? And then where can people find you to tune in?
My goal by 2020, what, five? Yeah. To have 250,000 followers on TikTok.
Your
I'm We're getting close. The accolades I've been able to get to already was not expected. I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect to be where I'm at today. I'd be lying to say like I thought I had this in me. Like no, I genuinely did not. So seeing that and seeing the progression, that is the goal is 250,000. I want to be able to get my podcast to average 50 views per week. I want to start integrating other things and really starting to make connections with people. I think now where I'm at in content, I want to start doing a lot more collaborations
yes.
because I was so stubborn. I didn't think I needed no one's help. You know, I've been doing this all by myself. So why do I need people's help? But you do.
You
Everyone's
do. It's like
help.
it's almost like having a mentor, like it's a cheat code. You get to tap into each other's audiences. And it's not to be like suctioning the value, but it's bringing the value, because that audience, like, they need what you got too, and vice versa. So I love this little crossover
Yeah, no,
that
great.
people probably would not even be expecting, but
Yeah.
it's been great. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Do you have any questions for me or anything you want to know or anything to add? Anything you want to give a piece of encouragement for our listeners, people who may be in the moments we were in and they don't see a way out yet? What could you offer to them?
If a person was listening to this and they wanted to start content, the one thing I'm going to tell them to do is something so simple, and it's do it. Right now, it sounds so simple just to do it. There are going to be days where you're going to feel a high of live views, and then you're going to go weeks where you're not going to see that view ever again. And what you have to do is understand who you are as a person, and it's going to sound so like simple again. Just keep posting. Because when you get to a point where you're just like you're not seeing the views and you're not doing anything, a lot of people stop. And thinking about how I've started and where I'm at now, it takes a lot of mental strain. It takes a lot of persistence. It takes a lot of outside noise to sound so much louder than what it is. Embrace it. Instead of trying to neglect depression, neglect trauma, neglect the outside noise, just embrace it. Because the more you embrace it, the more you accept it, it will actually go away.
Yes.
Um, that's the one thing I was always trying to avoid, all the things that bother me. It's just accepting it, embracing it, and realizing that is your life and it's okay. Keep pushing.
Yes, and it's temporary as long as you keep moving forward. That's the whole thing. Even like I'm in a season of my life where it's a transition. A transition. So I see exactly what's coming like across the street, right? But I am where I am. And that can be exhausting because of my particular environment. It can be draining and it can make you upset. But it's like, for one, like when it comes to discipline, what I tell people is expect it. Expect yourself to be tired. Expect yourself to be upset if you live with negative people, but don't let that kill your momentum or stop you. Say, okay, what I need to do. For me personally, like you said, I'll go outside. I would sit under a tree real quick and like, okay, I gotta clip this content up. I'm tired, but I already took a nap, so we just gotta push through. And you can rest at the end, but you will never escape your situation if you keep giving up just because you're in your situation. Like
Yeah.
that's such a paradox, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
So I love that. And thank you. Thank you again. And I'm excited to see your podcast growth and our podcast growth
Yeah.
and your new content form. That's gonna be exciting. But where can people find you?
Uh, e- Everything's at Jashaad, so at JASHAAD. If you can't find me on that, then it's at JASHAADSB. Everything's the same though. It's just at Jashaad, and you'll find me pretty quickly.
At Jashaad.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. You take care and be safe and have fun.
Thank you so much. You take care as well. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. Of course.
Bye.
Bye.